A warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here at the Swiss FinTech Fair 2020. During the next couple of minutes, we want to take you on a journey where we tell you why the time is ready for bancassurance in Switzerland. We will tell you what we as UBS and Zurich together developed during 2020, and we will give you some insights on how we developed that. Who is we? We is Jonas Aufsetter, Head of Bancassurance at Zurich Insurance, and myself, Christian Mehr, heading the Digital Corporate Bank at UBS.
Question, Christian. We've seen the rise and fall of Allfinanz, it's called in Switzerland, in the early 2000s. What's different now from your perspective as a banker?
Thank you for the question. Actually, lots have changed since we've seen Allfinanz in the 90s. What is one of the main aspects is really the pressure on the earnings that we've seen. If you look, for example, at the interest rate level that we're currently facing, this will continue also in the future. And this means that banks have to actually look for new fields of revenues. Another thing that we see currently in the market is obviously the pressure from digital competition, be it fintechs being peers that are basically attacking on the market. So that puts pressure on the existing business that we have as a bank and basically opens up also for partnerships that we have with insurances. On the other hand, it's the digitization which made a clear move forward. For example, in the 90s, we've seen already online banking with a couple of banks, but it was not state of the art. I think today we can easily say, well, online banking is definitely state of the art. And the next thing that wasn't there in the 90s was the onboarding journeys. Onboarding journeys at this time were mainly physical, and we completely changed that, and we have a digital onboarding journey which make it much easier to integrate third-party products. So that made us open basically for partnering also with an insurance company. And then COVID obviously was a big catalyst on that topic that we've seen in the market, which basically forced again the digitization process, which we are currently on that journey. But Jonas, on the other hand, if we look at Zurich Insurance, what did you bring to the table there?
Thank you. Hopefully a lot of things. One of the things, I'll go to that a little bit later in our discussion today, is a little bit that Zurich is one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. We have around 70, 90 agreements in 17 countries. So there's a number of banks that we count as our partners. So the know-how in bancassurance is one of the things, and the exchange that we can have with them. And coming back to what we bring to the table, we have learned a lot from the journey that we have had in other countries, which is, and I agree fully with you, the digitalization is a total game changer. And it's all about convenience. To be honest, I have a hard time to see that somebody to have more customer journeys for something that he does not want to spend time with. I mean, if he can close off an insurance or starting up a company with you, have a bank package, an insurance package, and in a few clicks ensure that he has the cover he needs to protect himself and his firm, that is convenience. And that convenience is driving the bancassurance in the world we see. And I think that is, apart from the pure insurance coverage, that we bring to the table in our cooperation. Going forward, I mean, we went out with a media press release, and there was a media response there. What did you make out of that?
It's actually, you've outlined already the baseline of our cooperation and the foundation of that. And I do believe you can tell that both of us are super enthusiastic around the topic, but it's also, you always have to have a market that is ripe basically for a certain type of product. And when we've launched actually the product, we had huge media response. So we had 1.3 million visits basically, and that was really great. And on the other hand, it was not just the visuals that we had, it was also the fact that after 48 hours after we've launched the product, and that was actually pre-media launch, we've already had the first closing on our platform. And that's basically great news, which shows you it does work, and the clients actually liked what we've done so far on our journey, on our digital journey.
Clients like convenience. That is what we're saying.
So, Jonas, we've seen now, obviously, we've built something cool. We've worked together. The market reception was very good. But let's talk a little bit about competition and about followers, because I believe that this is needed. If you're the first out on the market, someone has to follow you to basically build up the market.
We're firm believers since many years that this will come to Switzerland too. I mean, Alfinanz was something what it was, and now it's a totally different game. We see many things going on in the market, and predominantly what we do together is one. We also see that Raiffeisen and Mobiliar is coming together and creating something, their version of Bancassurance. The Swiss banking app Neom, which is a Revolut competitor, is teaming up with Helvetia. We also see prominent people like the Credit Suisse chairman going out and say, I believe it's going to be a Bancassurance 2.0. Before that, we knew that, and we see that, and it's going to take some time. But clear is that the convenience is always prevailing. Convenience is always prevailing, and that is something that we very much. I don't need to tell you, but that is something that we really work much together in trying to find a convenience for the client. I mean, coming back a little bit to the SME market in Switzerland. I mean, we're focusing on the SME and the cooperation that we have. The SME market in Switzerland and UBS position in Switzerland when it comes to SME. Can you give a few details on that?
The SME market for us in Switzerland is like really important, and it's at the core of the bank, because for the Swiss economy, the SME market is like really the backbone of it. Yeah. So we're very much taking care, and we're trying to provide them with a holistic and very good service. This is also the reason why we actually started last year with an ecosystem that is called UBS Start Business, where we basically provide a platform to make everything easy and convenient for your startup process that you have as a company. Because we also in discussions with the clients, we've basically seen that they want to get rid of all the processes that are not in their core, that are not mainly focusing the energy on that what they want to develop. And this is like really super important. This is why we wanted to have a platform, and we asked the clients like, what do you need actually? Which are the partners that we have to partner with to have an ecosystem that actually works, that provide this holistic convenience? And we have a lot of partners that we've partnered up over the last year. For example, Bexio on the treasury or on the account keeping side. Then we have a co-working space that we work with it. But on the other hand, what was still missing, and that's basically the missing piece that we're talking about today, is insurance. Because the corporates, they told us like, listen, if you build up that company, you basically need two things when you start. You need a capital deposit account that you have with a bank, and you need insurance coverage at the beginning. So we said like, this is the main starting point on what we want to focus in the future in 2020, and this is why we also developed that journey. What is important that we focus on two main things. We wanted to be super like down to earth with what we develop for our clients. It had to be something that made it really simpler for them and not made it, again, overcomplicated. We both know that banking and insurance products, most of the time they're not that convenient for clients. So that was at the heart of what we built, like to bring this convenience to the client. And this led us basically to the fact that we followed two things. We wanted to make the foundation journey of a client easier, and we also wanted to focus on existing clients and basically make their life easier on the corporate side. That was the base of our cooperation when we started the talking together. So, Jonas, I think we profited also from you during our project very much, mainly due to the fact that, and you've outlined that at the beginning already, that you have a lot of partnerships that are there already for, well, I can say almost decades, where you actually have all the know-how and built that up. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's an interesting storyline. This is something that as said, we're a firm believer that bank and insurance is they should be together. They're bound to be together. It's just finding the forms of it. Maybe you can say that Allfinans was the wrong form of it, and now we see different forms, and we will find the right form here in Switzerland as well. We have done that in different countries, and every country is very different. We have been blessed with having a lot of people doing good cooperations around the world with, we're the only partner of Bank Santander in Latin America. We have Bank Sabadell in Spain, which is the third largest bank in Spain, etc. So we have done a lot of things, and we have made a lot of mistakes over the years, which we profited from. Because I think it's naive to believe, and this is something that if you see this, this slide that we're showing right now, which has a number of partners, there's so much mistakes in there, which we learned from when we tested things, and we did it, etc., etc. So this is a very important journey for us. When we have the partnership with you, one of the things that I think that was one of the highlights in the project was that we actually had the teams from Santander and Sabadell to pitch in and show us a little bit what they have done. Not that it works one-to-one in another country, it never does. But you get some ideas if the button should be green, blue, blinking, or moving. And the other thing which is very important there is that we're working very much with different fintechs in different countries. We have different fintechs in Latin America, we have different fintechs in Australia, etc. But it's very important. We've learned very much on that journey as well. The fintechs is an absolute must-have in many other markets because it accelerates our way of working together with the bank. And we can really see that we profit from that. And that is something that we profit from talking to you and doing what we're doing together.
Reminds me of the fact that we've not just brought the know-how from the other banks and the bancassurance models in other countries, but also that we partnered with the university here in Zurich and took basically the knowledge from the professors here on our journey, and we tried to bring them in to discuss the journey if we are on the right way. And they basically challenged us as well, like, do you do the right thing? Are you focused enough on the client? And I think this is exactly what you need to do, and this is something that we do and you do as an insurer and a bank, but what also startups obviously do. You have to be open-minded, and you have to challenge yourselves and let yourselves be challenged on the way. So that's one of the most important steps, and I think one of the takeaways that we've had.
And in addition, the last point on that is making sure that we have continuous improvement. We never think that, yeah, we launched it and then we go home. We just continue to move and test new things. That is
absolutely correct. Let's dive a little bit more into the MVP that we actually developed and with which we've started. And we've outlined already, so there are like two streams that we followed. One is like the digital one-stop shop for newly founded company. And the other one is like optimizing the insurance process for existing companies. Now, Jonas, can you elaborate a little bit on the actual insurances that are in one or the other package that we decided to bring to the table for our clients?
Would love to do that. Just want to make one point there as well, is that the products for us always went to the back in the discussion, because the convenience was first and which products we actually underwrite for the clients was secondary. We needed to make sure. But the fact is that a startup company, as you said, have an insurance need. They cannot start a company without having the accident insurance, the UFAG. They cannot, if they have employees, they cannot start that company without having the pension, the BFAG. And I mean, the thought is that we put those journeys together and make it as convenient as possible. So we based it on not the low-hanging fruit, because it's not the basic needs, and that would be the accident and the pension, and then in addition the sickness payment product, the KTG, and on top of that we have a very interesting upgrade on your accident insurance, which means that you can get a single room at the hospital, etc. So that's the basic thing which he needs, and we know he needs it. The second part is a little bit the optimization, and there we were working together on different things, because we know a lot about the client. We know a bakery since 100 years. We know the needs that he has. So it cannot be very hard to tailor the journey to make it convenient for that bakery to get the right insurance cover that they need. And this is something that very much treasure the cooperation that we have in order to get the journey in the way that is so convenient. Getting the right cover, you get the right cover, but convenient, get the right cover, etc., and making sure you don't have to invest 4 hours in a coffee session with an advisor to get your basic needs. There we have done a lot of work, which I think is very, very good.
Reminds me of another thing that we've very much worked on, which is basically the challenge that we've had, that we had two digital onboarding journeys that we wanted to bring together. And I think the most important thing was we've challenged each other on each of our onboarding journeys. And what we came out with, which is very nice, is actually an onboarding journey that is, even if it's for both, it's for the insurance and the banking, that is even smaller than it was before.
Yep.
It was before on your side and on ours.
It's not ready yet. It's not ready yet.
Correct. So having said that, and we believe that we definitely, as you mentioned, will follow up after the MVP with other products because we believe in the journey, and basically the results that we've had so far show that the market is here and the clients are basically ready to have a simplified client journey. We have to talk a little bit about the why we do that, why we want to continue on that journey. And if I say so, it's because we both want to strengthen our premium position that we currently have in the market, and we want to work on that. Always, I think you can always keep a premium position if you keep the client in mind. And that definitely completely changed over the recent years, that it's all in the name of the client, and we have to bring the client at the end of the day to the table to basically solve the problem that he has. And I think it's an easy example on the corporate side, as mentioned earlier. When you found your company, you're completely lost in the woods of everything that you have to do during this process. So you want to have someone that helps you. And I think bringing those points together really helps. And we have more to come on that side that we want to bring to the table for our clients, where we basically help them on their problems. And the other point is basically, if we look on the ecosystem, you always have to have a base where you can basically integrate third-party products. And this helps both of us because at the end of the day, we want to solve the client's holistic problem. So we work together as partners in the ecosystem where we also work with third parties to basically solve our clients' problems.
And on the what's, we're talking about why and the what's. I mean, we said it a couple of times already in our conversation, the convenience is everything. Easy to sell is less important than the convenience for the client because he's in center there. We need to make sure that he gets the cover he needs as easy as possible. And meeting the client needs, we can do that with the digital, we can do that with other means, making sure he's getting the right thing. And getting the right thing at the right time is very much an interesting thing when we talk about using and leverage of data. We will not do that deep in this conversation, but that is one thing that a bank and insurance have so much experience around that bakery. So we know exactly what type of payments he has. We know exactly what type of risk he has. If his bakery equipment goes, it's not working, etc. And there, I think we can do much, much more to be at the right time. We know what he needs, but we need to be there at the right time to make sure that nothing happens. Because a client without claims is a happy client, and clients with claims should also be a happy client.
Fully agree. Reminds me of the fact that during the build-up of the onboarding journey together with you, we've had loads of discussions with clients. And one thing they told us during this process was like, please don't over-engineer it, and please don't offer me too much of things so that I feel like they want to oversell on the insurance side or on the banking side. So this is something that we truly took on our hearts and wanted to build on. And even if it was tough, because like the suite of products that both of us could offer is like, it's huge. But I think, and this is the crucial point, nailing it down to a certain amount of products that are really necessary. So we don't oversell at all, And we only offer the products that you really need at that certain moment. So nothing more than what you exactly need. It's like the foundation or the bones, basically, for building up your company and the structure.
Client communication is key there, to have the communication open with the client and telling him what needs he has, because he doesn't know that. The bakery doesn't know what he needs to insure. So that is one of the things. And I think, I mean, the how, I mean, in our discussion, the embedding of the insurance in the banking journey is something that I think that we worked very well. And the light advisory process, that we make sure that we're trying on a digital interface, give the client the convenience and understanding what he needs, why he needs it, etc., with a few clicks. Because I mean, you mentioned it earlier, we might not be in the past the most transparent and open and information-giving companies, but we're coming there. Slowly but surely.
Another point that I want to outline is, and this is also a differentiation factor to the 90s and the Alfinanz model there. It was a model where you basically wanted to train staff, namely banking staff, to sell insurance policies. And unfortunately, it's always tough if you need to teach people to sell new products. So what we tried is, we tried to, even if we do it from a client's perspective as simple as possible, we tried to separate the backbone to a certain extent. And this also, talking a little bit about insights, if you are on the journey side of the bank, then you always, if you have a question, you want to chat with someone or you want to call someone, you always end up with the bank, those people that are responsible of the banking journey. And on the other hand, if you are on the insurance journey, you basically end up at Zurich, at the people at your desks that can basically help on the insurance questions that the client have.
Very good point. Going into the offering and what we're doing, the customer journey. We talked a lot about the customer journey. The targeting that we have is over ubs.com, your start business page, where you go if you have a company, you want to found a company, you go to the UBS Start Business page. And there we have built it in that you can have the banking journey, the banking products, and the insurance product at the same time in the same journey, reusing the information that you actually gave about your company for the banking product, we reuse for insurance to make it convenient as possible for the SME. Because we know that a number of clicks, you need to make sure that the number of clicks is correspondent to what you actually get and what you feel that you get.
Correct, and I think an important point there to outline is that clients are in different stages of funding a company when they approach us. So it's not always that they want to open up the account right away. Maybe they just want to inform themselves. And this is the reason why you need basically a holistic platform that works for clients in all stages of their life, of their foundation process with their own company. This is why we basically set up UBS Start Business as a base layer where you can just inform yourself. You get the information about lots of products that we have on the platform, about our free accounts that we offer in the first year, but also about the insurance policies that we have online. But for those people that want to go right away into the process, they say, well, I know already what I need. I need a bank account and I need an insurance. They go straight to the onboarding journey. So this is important. If you look at the holistic view, you have to be ready to be there for clients no matter in what state of their process they are. And I think we've developed some very cool and interesting things on that together.
Fully agree. The key success factors in our cooperation, I mean, standing here is one of them, which also tells me that mutual understanding, and this is a learning that we have from other partnerships around the world as well, and this has really been manifested in our cooperation as well. The mutual understanding, we're making every problem that we have in one of the two, we're making that a mutual problem and solve it mutually, which is really helping the process onwards. and having the agile modus, agile development modus with co-locations is really helping us to understand each other. You were mentioning that we have a journey which we did together, and that's shorter than your single journey before, thanks to the teams that actually developed that in co-location, sitting very close to each other and making that every problem and solution mutual.
I really enjoyed that process together with you to just build in within a half year a complete digital process with a bank and an insurer. That was really great, and I really enjoyed the process. Having that co-location and the agile approach really helped on that. So that was also a fun process, so to say. On the other hand, what really helped and is a key success factor is basically the digitization that we currently have. It's the digital distribution model, because that allows you to easily change things. You outlined that earlier, Jonas. You said that we're constantly learning and trying new things. The digital world basically allows you, compared to the 90s and the Allfinanz model, to quickly change. You can immediately react on consumer responses that you have in your system. And that is really an asset that we can capitalize on. And on the other hand, and I think this is also a big advantage of the two of us, we care about data, and we care about the safety of our data. And trust was something that we've built on, and which is also super important for our clients, because they want to make sure that data is safe with both of us. This is the reason why we built this why we think this cooperation has really a good foundation. If we're talking about foundation, and we've talked already a lot about it, the client and the client experience and the user centricity is the most important thing, and is actually the asset that we have to develop on in the future. So everything that we built on, be it agile, be it on the focus on digital channel, be it on security, is always developed in a client-centric mode. And this is something that we are convinced of is definitely the future for both of our companies.
I agree fully.
So, if I have 3 takeaways from our discussion now, Jonas, it will be the following. Time is definitely right for bancassurance here in Switzerland. We've seen it abroad, we want to be there, and we feel that we're fully prepared. Second point is UBS and Zurich together are very well prepared, and we were glad to basically attack the market here as the first player. But the third point, and this is also important for all startups and fintech out there, this market is definitely not closed, and it has room for more client experience. So I would be glad if you go out there, develop new models, bring new thinking to the table, and support us on the journey to have the best client experience that we can bring together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonas. It has been a pleasure, as always.